outbreak here in the country. In just a few moments, we're going to cut into the briefing at the Daejeon government complex with simultaneous interpretation in English. So we are going to go into the briefing room where Kim Gang-nip, overall coordinator of the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters, will be sharing the latest figures and updates on the COVID-19 situation here in the country. So before we do that, just to give you an update on what's been going around in the world, there have been over 3 million cases of infection around the world, and of course a third of them the United States has accounted for alone. Well, it looks like Kim Gang-nip has taken to the podium, and it looks like the briefing is just going to begin.
We have Mr. Kim Gang-nip on the briefing of the coronavirus outbreak. Let us now begin our regular briefing for April 29th, Wednesday. As of today, midnight, we have 9 new cases, and people under treatment account for 1,654. And unfortunately, we had 2 more fatalities. I extend my deepest condolences to the deceased and the members of the bereaved families. Out of the 9 confirmed cases, 4 were reported domestic infections, and we had 5 imported cases. Of them, 3 were reported at the airport quarantine, while 2 have been reported through community transmissions. And the KCC held a meeting today presided over by Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun. And we discussed many issues as for the safe travels to prepare for the upcoming Golden Week holidays, as well as the trends for the special business trip to Vietnam. Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun has said that in Korea we have approximately 380,000 non-registered foreigners, and he says that even though they show symptoms, they are reluctant to visit the screening centers due to their insafety on their status. And he said that we need to guarantee their supply of masks to them and that they need to receive a treatment. And today he also said that 340 workers from 143 SMEs with businesses in Vietnam will be departing today via a charter flight to Vietnam. And he also said that in order to safeguard our community against the COVID-19, there are many people who spent sleepless nights, and he also thanked all of the 250 local government officers across the country. The situations in Korea have been stabilizing. However, we are seeing a dozen of new cases on a daily basis. Nevertheless, tomorrow, starting from the 30th of April until the 5th of May, we have a long weekend, a long holiday week. And I believe that many people will be going on travels as well as outings. COVID-19 is a very infectious when we have an increase physical contact with people, and the quarantine authorities believe that this could lead to a possible second outbreak here in the country, and thus we are still on alert. Therefore, the central government is working closely with the local governments in order to curb the further spread of the COVID-19 throughout the communities, and we have been highlighting the importance of quarantine measures as well as personal hygiene measures. And the following is on the safe travels, and the Culture Ministry along with the Tourism Office here in Korea. We advise you to refrain from going to large clusters of people, especially for the shopping malls and large traditional markets. And when you go into these facilities, you need to have screenings of body temperature, and you need to wear your face masks. And when you eat, you need to use your personal utensils. And these guidelines will be uploaded on the Culture Ministry's homepage as well as the tourism homepage. And we advise the public to be well aware of these guidelines before you depart on your travels, and please abide by them while you are enjoying your traveling. And we believe that there are certain tourist destinations that have a large higher risk of infections. and we will mobilize guides to these places so that they can look over the conditions there. And we also will make sure that the tourists are wearing face masks, and we will have a reservation system for these tourist destinations, and we will also enable the people to move only one way, and we will also seek ways to enjoy tourism through drive-through situations. And these will be in place together with the social distancing measures to be effective until May 5th. Meanwhile, during the meeting this morning, we also touched upon the issues of Gangwon-do province as well as Jeju Island, where we will expect to see a high number of tourists. Gangwon-do province is participating in the social distancing measures to be placed in until May 5th, but we expect that 90% of the visitors will visit compared to last year. And the bookings for the Sokcho accommodations already account for 70%. And we are already having thermal screens and thermal cameras stationed in each of the tourist destinations, and we are continuously carrying out disinfections. And we also will establish the information centers at each of the tourist destinations so that they can look over if any one of the tourists have symptoms. And we will also highlight the importance of keeping social distance and keeping a 2-meter distance, as well as wearing a face mask. And we will have people who will be guiding the tourists at certain stations. And in Jeju-do, we expect that about 180,000 people will visit the island, which is a drop by 43% on year. However, we believe that we have higher risks of infections. And starting from 30th of April, Jeju Island will be intensifying the screenings of thermal temperatures at the airports, and they will be lowering the degree of temperature from 37.5 to 37.3, and they will also have screenings if people show symptoms of a fever. And we will also have thermal cameras, body temperatures, so that we can screen the body temperatures, and we will encourage all of the tourists to wear face masks. And Jeju Island has been having a task force team established so that they have looked over and monitored the quarantine conditions at many of the places. And they are also carrying out intensive crackdown on the accommodation facilities as well as traditional markets. Nevertheless, the government believes that we need to keep up with the enhanced social distancing campaign during as far as May 5th, and we ask the public to refrain from non-essential travel or non-essential gatherings. And if you have to go to outings or if you have to have meetings, please abide by personal hygiene measures. We believe that a high level of civil awareness is very important in order to curb further outbreak, and we need to bear inconveniences. We ask the public, all of the people in the tourism industry, to abide by the quarantine measures very strictly, and we also advise you to cooperate with the guidelines of screening of the body temperatures and other measures as well. Nextly is on the life treatment centers, how they will be ceasing operation in Daegu and Gyeongbuk province. Up until now, the Ministries of Health and Administration, we have been looking into the life treatment centers, and we established 16 life treatment centers in Daegu and Gyeongbuk province. And as we have a dwindling number of newly confirmed cases, out of the 16 life treatment centers, they have been gradually been decreasing, and we will be finishing the operations of the last two centers there. At one time, we also had a daily increase, a number of daily increase of on-day increase, peaking at over 800, and we also had more than 700 people in quarantine. And to this end, the government collaborated swiftly with the medical staff at the local municipalities. And after that, we have been closely monitoring the situations and symptoms of the patients, and we have established the life treatment centers designated for the patients with light symptoms. And such measures were also very swift, and this was the first in the world to have life treatment centers. And we categorized the patients by the severity of the symptoms, and we are highly praised by others for our swift acts. And a total of more than 3,000 people have been treated at the life treatment centers in Daegu and Gyeongbuk province, and they have been fully recovered, and they account to 42% of the total patients in these regions. And as of the 29th of April, we will be moving the rest of the COVID-19 patients in these regions to other hospitals, and we will be closing all of our life treatment centers there. And if we also will be able to develop our models, we will be swiftly establishing new life treatment centers, and we will have these comply with the international standards so that they can be shared with other countries and to share our know-hows of K-quarantine. Up until now, many people have exerted their efforts to operate the life treatment centers, and they include medical staff and the government staff. And we would like to thank all of them. And we will also like to thank all the corporations, including Samsung Electronics, LG Display, Gyeongbuk University, Seoul National University, Catholic branch of Daegu, as well as Nonghyap and the Industrial Bank of Korea for helping out for the establishment of the life treatment centers. While looking at the stabilizing conditions, we believe that sometimes we have had excessive concerns on the conditions, and we have seen some people that have been easing on their quarantine measures. However, we need to remember that one individual could lead to a wide cluster of infections, leading to a nationwide crisis. We were able to stabilize the conditions based on our social solidarity, and we shall never forget that this was possible thanks to all of our efforts in participating in social distancing. Starting from tomorrow, we will enjoy our week-long holiday, and in order to have this holiday as a golden holiday, we need to be careful of ourselves, and we need to also show we need to be able to protect the lives of individuals, your families, as well as your neighbors. And despite the long holidays, we will have many people working on the front lines, including medical staff and the government officials. And the long holiday of the 2020 will never be forgotten as a new way of a new week of setting a new norms for our society, and we shall remember this as a new beginning for our new norms. And being complacent will lead to irrevocable cluster infections in the country and will put all of our efforts in vain. So we ask the public to continue to participate with our quarantine measures going forward. Thank you very much.
That was a live briefing you just heard from South Korea's health authorities updating us on the COVID-19 situation here in the country. We've just heard that there were 9 additional infection cases, bringing the total to 10,761. There was unfortunately 2 more deaths, bringing the total death toll to 246. Well, that does it for our coverage of this morning's briefing. We'll be back in just a short while at 12 p.m. Korea time with our regular midday news. Bye for now.